Good day, guys. Good day to you all. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. Thanks for being here. It's been a little while since I've done a video like this, seeing with me actually talking to the subscribers. But big up to all the subscribers and welcome me back to the channel. Seeing I've been dropping a lot of match highlights involving players, but you know, I haven't really done a video like this in a while. But the Gold Cup preliminary squad is out. So we have to talk about it, we have to talk about it, we have to get to it quick and fast. The squad is on your screen, not all of the squad. I'll scroll a little bit for you guys to see the entirety of the squad. As a matter of fact, I'll list out the squad, even though most of you might have already seen the squad. The goalkeepers, Amal Knight, Andre Blake, Kanaya Boyce, Clark, Corey, Adai, Jamal Waite, and Kemar Foster. One of the strongest goalkeeping pools, Reggae Boy goalkeeping pools I've seen in a while. I'm very impressed with this particular Gold Cup goalkeeper pool. Seeing the defenders, Adrian Mariappa, Alva Spoiler, Maribel, Damian Lowe, Dexter Limbikisa, Deshaun Bernard, the Manchester United player on loan. Kind of a bit of surprising seeing him in the mix. Ethan Pinnock, Fitzroy Cummings, Greg Lay, Kemar Taxi Lawrence, Luke Badley Morgan, O'Shane Staple, Ricardo Thomas, Richard King, Wesley Harding. Greg Riley, Ian Frey from Inter Miami. Another surprising inclusion, Javian Brown, Joel Latibodier. The midfielders, Bobby Reed, Daniel Johnson, Delano Splat, Demario Phillips, Devon Speedy Williams, Jonathan Russell, Kevin Lambert, Lamar Walker, Michael Hector, listed as a midfielder. I'm going to talk about this now because I'm very happy. Omari Hutchinson, Ravel Morrison. The attackers, at a far right, Bygrave, Colin Anderson, Corey Burt, Daniel Green, Demarai Gray, Dejan Whisper Richards, Jamal Lowe Jr., Fleming Skyim, Paris Kemar Roof, Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio, Ronaldo Cephas, Shamar Nicholson, Trevante Stewart. So that's the squad. It's a 50-man squad. Interestingly enough, one of the things that struck me initially was that it was a 50-man preliminary squad because you can list up to 60 players. So, I kind of would love to know the reason why the gaffer never chose to go up to 60. Not that it's a big deal, but just an interesting thing that I would have noticed. We see some big names in the squad as well. Some big name, new additions to the squad as well. Me personally, I'm not going to get too excited about that just yet. I'm happy to see that they are in this preliminary squad. That means that either they have their documents or they're currently being drawn in to the national setup. But I'm not going to get excited from the perspective of actually seeing them in the Gold Cup, because we have seen Gold Cup preliminary squads drop in the past. Big baller, they're in the prelim squad and not even have documents. I mean, the last Gold Cup, Ravel Morrison was in the final squad, if memory serves right. And not even memory serves, facts, he was in the final squad and couldn't even play in America at the time. So, I see some big additions to the squad. I not get excited just yet, excited about seeing them in the Gold Cup. But I am excited because that means that they are being roped into the national setup, which is a good thing. The squad not too bad, ladies and gentlemen. The squad, not the prelim squad, the 50-man prelim squad, is not too bad. Not surprising that the midfield is a bit thin. We were hoping that, we saw some unexpected arrivals like Bernard and Frey. The problem, I never really expected that with the midfield, because to be fair, there aren't a ton load of players out there that are, non-Jamaican born, that are eligible to represent Jamaica in the midfield department, right? Is a real real issue where that is concerned. And that's why me personally, I'm not getting my hopes up as a Reggae Boyz fan that the national team is on the verge of doing big things, because the midfield and the midfield pool that is available to Jamaica in terms of those eligible to represent is very, very thin, concerningly, alarmingly thin. So I'm not surprised that the midfield does look a little bit flat. The midfield does look a little bit weak. I'm going to list out some obvious omissions from the squad. Players that, under normal circumstances would be in the squad but aren't. Liam Moore isn't there. Not really a surprising omission, but still an obvious omission nonetheless. Kenroy Campbell is some might have expected to have seen him in the preliminary squad. He's not there. The left back, left wing back, and also left-sided midfielder Kenroy Campbell. I was hoping to see Johnson Clark Harris and Giovanni Brown. They are not in the setup. Johnson Clark, I'm not even going to get into that, because to be honest with you, you hear so many conflicting reports about Johnson Clark Harris. Giovanni Brown, of course, we all know, had that incident mid-season. He was doing very well at his club, Exeter City, and then, that unfortunate incident arose and he was, dropped from the squad. Norman Campbell is a big exclusion for me. I'm a bit shocked Norman Campbell isn't in the mix, right? Not saying he should make the Gold Cup's final squad, but at least the prelims, not even the prelims, the dog could have make. That is surprising to me. That is shocking to me, especially some of the players that would have made it over Norman Campbell. Right? Me see all amateur footballer make it over Norman Campbell. Norman Campbell, who is a starter in the Serbian league and doing relatively well, and especially his form going into the Gold Cup. He has been scoring and assisting quite a bit in the last, 2 or so months. Very surprising to see Norman Campbell not in the mix. Blair Turgott, he's not in the mix as well. Obviously not surprising, given his set of circumstances right now. Rolando Aaron's not in the mix. Obviously not surprising as well, given his set of circumstances. Tyreek McGee, not surprising either, although to be fair, there are some players that have made this squad who one could make a real argument McGee could make it over them, but not surprising McGee isn't in the mix either. O'Neal Fisher is another player that ain't in the mix either, that we have seen from time to time in the national setup, but we know enough Reggae Boyz fans not really upset not to see O'Neal Fisher not in the mix, not in the preliminary squad. Andre Gray as well is a big exclusion as well, an obvious exclusion. That's a little bit surprising that not even the preliminary squad Andre Gray could have made. So that's a bit surprising as well, that Andre Gray is not in the mix. Casey Palmer is not in the mix either, despite just coming back from a long-term injury and played in the championship final. I am not so sure as to the document status of Casey Palmer. So, Kevin Stewart is also another exclusion as well. Another obvious exclusion. Not surprising, because Kevin Stewart has not played a game since the start of the season. Jordan Cousins is also another obvious exclusion. Not surprising, but obvious. Curtis Tilt as well is another obvious exclusion. And probably a Tyreek Jimenez as well. Jimenez, however you pronounce it, could also be deemed as an obvious exclusion, obvious omission from the Gold Cup preliminary squad. Surprising inclusions. Ian Frey, the Inter Miami player. I knew about this player for some time, that he was eligible to play. Didn't know that there was serious recruiting taking place. I'm not so sure what is the situation where documentation is concerned. If you know the answer to that question, hit me in the comments section. I'd love to hear the answer to that. Deshaun Bernard as well is another player that is a little bit surprising. Dujan Whisper Richards, me personally, I'm a little bit surprised that Dujan has made the mix, but it's good for him that he has made the preliminary squad. It's another star on his resume, so to speak, his growing resume. Adrian Mariappa, you know, me have the utmost respect for Maps, man. I rate Maps down to the ground him walk on, man, but you know, I think the time has come for us to move past Mariappa. And it pained my heart and it hurt me for say that. I don't take a lot of pleasure saying that because I don't want to ever come across as if me I disrespect the legend, the Jamaican Reggae Boyz legend Adrian Mariappa. Lamar Walker is a surprising inclusion for me as well. I mean, he and a player like Alex Marshall are in a similar kind of situation. Both play on the same team, you know, both having overseas opportunities ending and coming over here, playing for the same team. Honestly, Alex Marshall, and he's probably another player that could be listed as obvious omissions as well. So I'm surprised to see Lamar Walker in this squad over Alex Marshall. Interesting. Kemar Roof is also another very surprising and interesting inclusion. I mean, Kemar Roof has only played 3 times in the Scottish League this season. He has been injury plagued. What real serious chance could Kemar Roof have of making the final squad? This is a baller where you goodly carry on him injured in the first training session. So that was surprising for me as well, personally. As I stated earlier, the goalkeeper pool is the strongest goalkeeper pool I've seen in a while. The goalkeeper pool is as good as it possibly could be. Right, hold on, let me scroll a little bit to show the other players in the squad on the screen. The goalkeeper pool is as strong as it could possibly be. Right, and I'm very happy to see the likes. Those are the additional players on your screen on the second page. I am very happy to see the likes of Corey Adai and Kanaya Boyz Clark in the mix. The striker pool is, you know, not as good as I hoped it would have been. Relatively decent nonetheless. The defender pool is probably as good as it possibly could be. And to be fair, it's looking okay. It's looking okay. And the midfield pool is, you know, obviously looking a bit thin. Good to see these young, uncapped players that are in the mix, that are in the preliminary squad and in the mix to be selected for the final Gold Cup squad. The likes of Corey Adai, Kanaya Boyz Clark, Dexter Limbikisa, Deshaun Bernard, Ian Frey, Joel Latibodier, I'm very happy to see. Badley Morgan, the former Chelsea player, Omari Hutchinson and Splat. Right? Really happy to see those players in the mix. I really hope the likes of Adai, Kanaya Boyz Clark, Limbikisa, Bernard Frey, and Latibodier and Omari Hutchinson can be capped, you know, as soon as possible. I think those players are some big players going forward, man. Big players going forward. Yes, Badley Morgan and Splat as well are really good talents for the future, but the need to cap them is not as immediate and not as pressing as the players, the other young players that I would have mentioned. It's good to see Michael Hector and Wes Harding back in the mix. It's good to see that they are not forgotten, because those two Reggae Boyz often seems like, you know, the forgotten Reggae Boy, so to speak. Especially Hector, which is very surprising. He used to be a mainstay. One of the things that I did notice is that it appears as if Hector, if I'm not mistaken, Hector has been listed as a midfielder in this setup. Right? If I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can see it back on the screen. So, you know, if that is the case and he has been listed as a defender. He has been listed as a defender. Okay, there you go. Me personally, though, I think that he should be brought back into the setup as a CDM. I think if me personally, I would have Michael Hector being the backup CDM in my Gold Cup team. Michael Hector is my backup CDM in the Gold Cup team to Jonathan Russell. That's me personally, right? I am not going to judge Michael Hector's CDM performances under Theodore Tapper Whitmore. A lot of people question his mobility, and to be fair, I think a legitimate argument could be that it was the role and it was the job description that was given to Michael Hector to, not be as mobile as he probably should. Me personally, I've seen Michael Hector deliver very good CDM performances in the English League Championship and for the Jamaica Reggae Boyz in the past as well. We are desperately in need of a CDM right now. I would take Hector as my backup CDM over Kevin Lambert every day and twice on Sundays. I rate Kevin Lambert as a centre back. Am I baller that as a centre back, not as a CDM. Seen, and we touched as well on the fact that Kemar Roof is back, which is a bittersweet thing. My rate Roof as a baller man. Under normal circumstances, Roof makes my squad, but the baller can't keep fit for saving miserable life. Seeing, he has a real problem with fitness, man. So those are the main talking points, around this preliminary Gold Cup squad for me. Hit me in the comment section and let me know what you think. Very important. I want to hear your thoughts on this prelim squad. Knock up the like button, subscribe, and share, ladies and gentlemen. Take care, stay safe, and until next time.